An ofrenda is a very profound expression of gratitude towards the ancestors and really honoring them in a way of showing how much we learn from them. It's not all material things, but the abundance of love that we have for them and our family and the legacy of our ancestors and the importance of sharing that story to the next generation. The ofrenda is like a bridge that connects not just the living and the dead, but it connects generations and the stories of the generations to move forward. And through this practice, it's beyond what you see, it's the oral tradition that goes with it.
I'm Ofelia Esparza. I was born here in East Los Angeles. I've lived here all my life. I was born in 1932, and I still live about 4 blocks from the home where I was born. I became a teacher after I had my 9 children, and I just love my community.
My name is Rosana Esparza Aarons. I am the daughter of Ofelia Esparza, who is the daughter of Guadalupe Salazar, who is the daughter of Maria Salud Garcia, who is the daughter of Matilde Tinoco, who is the daughter of Hipolita Tinoco, and all the other grandmothers before them. In the ofrenda, you will find that we make paper flowers. That is our offering to the ancestors, especially my grandmother and Mama Pola, because my grandmother loved working with paper, and we learned how to make these flowers through her. There's this thing that happens when you're making something in a group with your sisters, the family, in community. It's this dynamic of telling stories. We're honoring somebody and we're starting to share from our own experiences what we have in common with who we're honoring. The actual piece is the ofrenda, but even the making part is the ofrenda. Each one of those flowers carries the stories that we're sharing. It carries our own essence, just like the doilies and the textiles carry the essence of the makers that made them. And so we're cohabitating in our essences together on the altar, the living and the dead. We're all together on the altar through the essence of what we made together.
I don't know if our ofrendas are different from others I've seen, but ours always includes an arch with flowers. My mother would say that that's the portal for our ancestors to come to the ofrenda, the offerings we have for them. Many of the things that I talk about in making the ofrendas that my children and Rosana talks about are things that I learned from my mother. She was born in a small town in Mexico, Guanímaro, but she brought her homeland with her and practiced all the traditions that have been passed down to me, especially in the celebrations and making altars. She made other altars for other times of the year, but for the ofrenda, for the other muertos, the most important thing was the stories that came with it. And she would say that it's more than a tradition, it's more than a devotion, it's an obligation to remember our ancestors, to remember our family, to pass this down to the new generation so that they're never forgotten. Something that she said to me many years ago when I started making public altars at Self-Help Graphics, that we all suffer 3 deaths. The first death is the day that we give our last breath, the day that we die. Our second death, she said, was the day that we're buried, never to be seen on the face of this earth again. But she said the most final, the most dreaded death of all is to be forgotten. And so in the work that we do, I always say, we're never going to let our loved ones, our ancestors, to suffer that third death.
Growing up in East LA as part of a family of 9 kids, we lived on top of a hill with no street. It was like an oasis. You could see, the mountain range. You could see into the neighborhood. We were always doing something outside. Either we're playing or we were doing art. It was just a lot of creativity going on in our household. And our house was the place that other kids would come and hang out. It was safe and there was a lot of freedom.
A lot of celebrations.
A lot of celebrations. The legacy of Chicano artists that come from East LA is so thick, so deep, so global. And the central hub is Self-Help Graphics. Self-Help Graphics is super important in the Chicano art community, especially Day of the Dead. Sister Karen, who's the founder of Self-Help, she felt like there needed to be something to bring the community together because we were undergoing like a lot of unrest in the early 70s.
Well, Sister Karen was a Catholic nun like none other. She was a printmaker, she was an artist, she was an activist, she was a humanist. She really understood our community and loved our community. There's many stories about her almost giving away some artwork because of somebody couldn't afford it. And she told me one time, Ophelia, I hope you don't mind, but this young man liked your print, and I said, I sold it to him for $5. I said, that's okay, I give some away myself.
I don't know if all artists are thinking about the value of their piece, but they become valuable because someone is able to acquire it and add value to it in a monetary sense in that Western idea of what value is for art. And the ofrenda is a spiritual and cultural tradition, practice, process, but it also is an art form. My family and I put a lot of emphasis on the aesthetic of the piece. There's a focal point, there's dimension and color and how the textiles work together, the story that we're telling. And it's not a piece that somebody can buy and take with them. These are temporary pieces. They don't get to stay there and, deteriorate. They go up for a moment and they stay up for a time and then they get dismantled and put away. And then when it comes down, we're grateful. There's a part of us that need to hold something inside, but we also need to place it somewhere. And the value in that is healing through art. I mean, that's priceless.
The conservation or preservation of my work is more, I guess, documentation, because the altars themselves are ephemeral. But I appreciate and I'm grateful that many have been recorded or photographed. Not just because it's my work, but the significance of Dia de Muertos is very important, I believe. Not only to my community, but just for posterity. There has to be evidence or a significance to events that affect our lives, especially our families, our ancestors. So I'm grateful for that, and I see evidence of that today everywhere I go. And I tell myself my mother's happy because it's important for her, for us, my family, and her children, her grandchildren to understand this and practice this. But now it's communities and countries.
What I say about conservation is that for me, it would be a beautiful thing for people from other cultures to research what that culture is. So many of us have been dismembered from our own culture, from our own spirituality. Many times we encounter people that want to make an ofrenda and want to know what the marigolds mean. And they might be from Europe or Asia or other continents in the world. But I know we all come from an original earth culture, no matter what continent we're from. And what we have in common is those earth cultures are based on the earth and the cosmos, the elements. And I feel like there's this primal connection to the ofrenda because it feels familiar. It's like a magnet. I just want it to inspire people to look into their own original earth culture and connect in that way.
I want people to come away with an understanding of the ofrenda and a connection to it for their own family or their own situation, their own remembrances. And many times it sparks an idea. They'll tell a story, and that's the other part, is that it's telling a story. You have your own, everyone has their own stories. Use that to build your ofrenda, to remember, to celebrate.